Hello, this is Deborah Yao with Black Education TV. I apologize in my last video. It was very noisy and it was the wind. I was sitting in my vehicle and I had the air on, but I guess this water is no different. I'm going to try to walk around this trail and veer away from the water as much as possible, or speak as loudly as I can, because as you see, that is very noisy. We decided to bring the children here to the park for a morning bike ride, and so let me just walk in this direction here. Anyway, what I'm going to be talking about is the incident with Target, in which many of you had already asked me if I can cover this particular subject as it relates to the baby daddy cards that Target was selling. But I opted out of really dealing with that subject because I felt like it wasn't really something I wanted to deal with. But, hi kids. Hi. Children. I said I'm going to stop using that terminology, kids, because we know that refers to a goat's child. Not a goat's child. A baby goat. A baby goat. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to keep it moving. But what I decided to do was talk about this from another perspective, because someone shared, I believe it was Sister Michelle. Sometimes I get so many people share things, I don't get a chance to address everything when it is sent, but someone shared the link that was on the advice show where there was a gentleman talking about the original baby daddy. And now that, when I listened to that, was very, very intriguing. And so that definitely sparked my interest in wanting to talk about this. I didn't want to talk about the card and the boycotting and all of that kind of stuff. And I'm sorry if the wind is picking up, because I feel it on my face, so you may hear it in the video as well. Beyond my control, but I'm going to keep it moving. But anyway, I didn't want to just talk about the whole baby daddy thing. We know that these people are always taunting us and saying things and doing things. And so we can choose to talk about these things or not. And that was one that I didn't want to talk about. But I did want to talk about what was shared on the advice show, talking about the original baby daddy. And I think I'm going to slow my walk down, so I'm walking kind of fast and I don't really have to. Okay? But the whole scenario about the original baby daddy, I thought was very interesting, and the brother broke it down so eloquently. He made some very good points. And we all know who the original baby daddy is. It's the slave master. Okay? And they've gone all over the world and spread their seed into the indigenous populations, and they've done that for a very long time. That has been taking place for a very long time, so it's nothing new to those of us who study history. Now, one thing interesting that I wanted to talk about is how in today's time there seems to be this memory lapse of this particular fact. This is a fact in history. And even now today, I've spoken in previous videos where you can go to Africa. Even now in certain areas of Africa, you will have European military that are in the area for whatever reason. For various reasons they are in the area, and what they are doing is they continue to force themselves, or should I say rape black women. Now this is a current affair. This is not something that happened 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. This is something that is still happening. And the African people are really powerless to do anything about it. When they contact the regions from where these military men are coming from, nothing is being done about it. They do things and they find themselves not guilty. It's like they're saying that your words don't mean a thing. We're not going to look into this. We don't care. We can pretty much do what we want on this planet. That is the narrative that we are seeing. We are seeing this narrative because they have for so long, and there is nothing to hold them guilty for what they have done. And so this is why divine judgment is going to have to take place. This is something that the Most High is going to have to implement, because we are powerless to do anything at this point. We are powerless to do anything at this point. And so this is why it's important that we understand history. And this is why I'm so glad that the brother brought out the point of the original baby daddy, because our people, sometimes we get into situations where we are not familiar with history, and we just kind of replay what we think we know. I remember when the singer Fantasia actually came out with a song, and I don't think that she wrote the song herself. Back in the day, of course, there were others writing her music, and I do believe it was a white male that was taking care of how she dressed, and others were writing her music, and just a number of different things were going on. And so I don't know who wrote the song that she sang, Baby Daddy, or if this goes out to the single moms or baby daddies or something like that. I don't know who wrote that song, but there is an obvious sorcery going on that tries to program our minds and program the minds of our children and our young people, our men, our women, in the direction that they want us to go. And so it was about single moms. She said being a single mom or something like that is like a badge of honor or something of that nature. And I said to myself back then, I said, this was not something that this young lady wrote, and this is not a diss on single moms either, but it was almost as if the person who wrote the song was trying to get us to embrace single motherhood, meaning the father is absent, and that this is the narrative that was being pushed, in which some are single moms not by choice, but when you have a push of this whole ideology by those outside of us, even if a so-called black person did write the song, the music is being produced by people who do not have a vested interest in making sure that our people are doing well. They are not looking out for our well-being as a whole. This is why the whole gangster rap thing is promoted. All of these things that are negative to us are being promoted. And we are none the wiser, and we are powerless to really do anything about it, only because we choose to be. And let me tell you what I mean by that. We choose to be powerless because in many cases when someone is being presented with a contract to produce music, like I remember the rapper T.I., he was like, I don't want to produce anything negative anymore. I want to produce positive things. And the people that were promoting him, which were white people, of course, they said, well, none of that sells. They wanted a continuation of negative music. They wanted a continuation of that. And so when our people choose the money and don't choose the better part, this is what you get. When you don't choose the better part, but you choose the money instead, you have a promotion of music that is not going to help us. You see, and a lot of the music does promote single motherhood, baby daddy stuff. Because, yeah, there was a song that says this goes out to the baby daddies or something like that. Or who daddy is my baby daddy. Something like that, y'all. I didn't listen to that kind of music, but you hear it throughout the neighborhood. So there was a baby daddy song. I don't know if there's more than one, but the one that Fantasia sang was talking about single motherhood. Okay? and it being a badge of honor. And I said, these people are really doing a number on us. When our people choose the money over what is good, this is what you have. And so, back to the whole narrative about the original baby daddy. The same people that helped to promote negativity in our communities are the same people who were the original baby daddies, as the brother broke it down so well. And because we are a people who have a lost culture, in which we are finding out and renewing our culture and waking up and whatever you want to call it, because we are doing these things, some of us are starting to see these things very clearly, and we are waking up to the facts. But then you do have those of us who have embraced what our former slave masters have put before us. They've prepared a buffet for us, and we sit there and we gorge ourselves on what they have prepared. We gorge ourselves on their music, on their food, on their drinks, on their entertainment, on the contracts that they put before us. They say, hey, sing us one of those songs of Zion. But this time they're not having us sing the songs of Zion. They're actually writing songs for us, and they're saying, this is what I want you to sing. Continue to sing about your experience in the hood. Yeah, that's a good topic. Talk about all the shootings and the killings and the rapes and the hoochie mamas and the thugs and the pimps. That's what we want y'all to sing about, because that's what sells, y'all. And then our people are like, yeah, you're right, that's what sells, so that's what we gonna sing about. I've heard so many of our people use that as an excuse to say, well, this is what's going on in the hood. And so that's what they sing about. That's what they sing about. And unfortunately, many of our people are not interested in the positive things. Like I stated before, you have cases where you have young people who are doing well academically, who have carved a good space for themselves in life. Just some positive things going on. You share those kind of stories, and you hardly get any response to that. No one's really interested in those things. No one's interested in the young man who, and when I say no one, I'm not talking about every single person. I'm speaking in general. The masses are not interested in the young man who was accepted to all of these colleges. And then there was a young woman who was accepted into a lot of colleges as well. No one is really interested in those stories. But when we talk about negativity, when we talk about this thing that's happening and that thing that's happening, you get a lot of interested parties then. Get a lot of interested parties. And so what we are saying is that we've got to start writing our own narratives. And many of us are starting to do that. But in mass, we've got to somehow figure out how to do that, in which I don't think is going to happen, because it has already been prophesied that our people are going to go in a certain direction. But we are still to cry aloud and spare not, and try to give them a better direction to go in, a better flow, a better purpose, or a better hope. We can still do that. There's nothing wrong at all with giving them direction. Whether they choose to hear is totally up to them. Totally up to them. We have those who embrace the whole notion of the baby daddy, some of those who reject it. You see, so much is going on in the hood that it is like a constant movie. Different topics, different players, different actors. Just so much is happening. And we all want change, but we're not all willing to work for that change. We're not all willing to do what it takes to make these changes. And it begins with our young people. We have to make decisions and choices to give them better examples. We have to make decisions and choices to lead them and guide them in the way that they should go. But many of our young people are left on their own. They will spend the whole summer doing nothing important. They will spend the whole summer not being led or guided in a particular direction. And that's become very normal to us. It should not be normal to us to allow our children to just go about aimlessly through life and not understanding what it is they must do. It's almost as if we are preparing them to be the next generation of young people who have no direction, who will become baby mamas, who will become baby daddies. We have got to prepare them for better than that, because when they see the narratives that are being presented by others, they play right into it. They play right into these scenarios, because we are not taking our role as parents and leaders of our own community to instruct them otherwise. That is our job. It is not normal for us to send our children off to someone else to instruct them on the ways of life, especially a group of people who have historically told you and showed you that they do not want your young people to be educated. Some of our young people didn't know that it was a crime back in the day, the days of slavery, for our young people or for our people in general to read books. If you were caught, you could be beat or killed. Now, it's very important that our young people know this bit of history about this country we live in, because if they know this bit of information, then they will understand why the teacher that is before them looks at them, ridicules them, has no interest in teaching them, treats them differently than they treat the other children. They will have a reference point to say, man, this is why she does this, because historically, and see, they don't like to be judged based on what their ancestors have done, even though there is a continuation of the same treatment. They don't like us to reference those things. They like for us to look at the here and now. But with us, on the other hand, the hypocrisy comes in when they look at what one person does. You can have a person all the way over here, all the way in, I'm going to say the city of Detroit, commits a crime, and somehow, even though somebody in the city of Detroit commits a crime, in their minds, you can live in St. Louis, you can live in Houston, Texas, you can live in Washington, D.C., as long as you're black, you're just as guilty as the person who lives hundreds of miles away from you. Now, not all of them think this way, but many of them do. One commits a crime, you are all guilty as charged. That is the history of this country. And this is why they promote certain things as it relates to us, like the baby daddy card at Target, as if this is a phenomenon only in the black community. But they never present to you the historical elements of the original baby daddy. They never talk about that. That part is dismissed as something of the past, in which I have shown you it is not just a thing of the past. It is not just a thing of the past. It is something that continues to take place. It is something that is still happening, and though it may not be here in the USA, it is something that is taking place in Africa, as it has for a very long time. Because they dominate the world right now, they feel like anyone that they want, they can take, and that there will be no repercussions. It is what it is, family. And so the original baby daddy hides his hands, and he's protected by his female counterparts. But yet there's this media display to show what the black man has done in becoming the new baby daddy. Although You do have the original baby daddy. Our people have allowed their minds to be tricked into becoming the new baby daddy. Our men have not rejected that title. Instead of becoming mama's husbands, they have allowed themselves to become the baby daddies. And the women have allowed themselves to become the baby mamas, because she produces the child. Once the man drops the seed in, everyone knows what it takes to have a baby, to make a child, to make one. You know what it takes. And if you as a young woman has allowed yourself to be put in that situation unprotected, you know there's a chance that you will become pregnant. So no one is without excuse. The young woman is not without excuse. Or should I say the young woman is without excuse. And the young man is without excuse as well. Everyone knows when you lay up there, when you lay in the bed or wherever it is you're doing your thing, you know what it takes to make a baby. And this is a choice that you have made. So whether you're a baby mama or a baby daddy, it doesn't matter who the original is. It matters what's happening now, and that you have made that choice. You have opted to be this. So either we can make changes ourselves, or we can continue to make excuses. We can make changes, or we can make excuses. The choice is yours. Choose ye this day, right or wrong, left or right. Which road will you choose? This road or that road? As I state many times in my videos, we as a people have choices to make. We have decisions to make. The day of excuses is coming to an end. While others are making progress, even though they are the ones who created some of the situations we're in, or they have been used, should I say, to create some of the situations that we're in, even though they are such, they are making progress and we're still making excuses. But see, I will say this in defense of my people. There was a technique applied to us a long time ago. And that technique is called divide and conquer. Divide and conquer has worked. They have used every method imaginable. And with the help of sorcery and media, they said we've got to divide these people. We've got to cause them to hate each other. We've got to use every method imaginable to where they won't even know what hit them. They will think that this was their own doing. The women will blame the men and say, if you had did this, that, or the other. The men will blame the women, will say, if you had did this, that, or the other. And while we're bickering back and forth, those who set the stage for our demise and for our destruction are planning their next day, planning their next family vacation while they essentially broke yours or busted yours up. I know this is a hard topic to deal with, family, but these are things that we must talk about because our people have been systematically destroyed. And while we're pointing the finger at each other, the people who have done this, they'll come in and they'll give you a little bit of assistance, and you'll say to yourself, well, they're trying to help. They've provided this and they've provided that. We have social services, social benefits, and all of this. And when it was their whole system that was designed to break you apart to begin with. And they come in as the saviors while we're still fighting and hating each other. They try to come in as the saviors fix us, because we've been blindsided and we are choosing not to fix ourselves. Even though I know that there have been curses applied to us biblically, prophesied, I also know that if my people, which are called by the name of Abba Yah, will humble themselves and pray and seek Yah's face and turn from their wicked ways, we can get healing from all of this. But we have chosen not to do that. As a people, we have chosen to continue in our wicked ways. When truth is presented, we reject it. It's as if we have no interest at all in doing what's right for our people. Even though we know we've been divided and essentially conquered, we're not trying to fix the problem on getting back together. What we've decided to do is to join with those who divided us and conquered us. That's what we're doing. So you can't fix what is broken if you're seeking other solutions or other people out. You're joining yourself to people, those who did the breaking in the first place. How can we fix us if we're divided from us? And we even use our oppressors as tools against each other, because we know they have the upper hand at the moment. For one thing, I thank the Most High for. I'm so glad about this. If Yah be for you, who can be against you? So even if we do use our oppressors against each other, the Most High, He says, you cannot curse what I have blessed. And so He has made a way of escape for us. He has provided protection for those who love Him. He says that my people, He said, if your ways be found righteous before the Most High, even your enemies will be at peace with you. Even your enemies will be at peace with you. And so I just want to thank the Most High, because there are situations that He will look out for us on. And we can count ourselves blessed. I want you all to hear what I have said this day. Hear what I have said this day. And take heed. Because we can fix us. And it is not as hard as we make it out to be. We only make it hard because we don't want to put forth the effort. Fixing us requires effort. We want the easy way out. And so we cannot take the easy way out. Let's take the right way out. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and close out this video, family. We just, like I said earlier, we decided to bring the children for a little bike ride around the trails here. And a little walk for me. It's been hot these days, so early in the morning is the best time. It is the best time. Our young people are our future. They are the future, family. So what you invest in them now will determine what our future looks like. And if all of our young people are bailing on us, what future do we have? All other nations are preparing theirs. They're preparing their young people to continue and carry on their legacy. What are we doing? We have work to do, family. We have to prepare our young people to carry on our legacy. That is what we must do. That is what we must do. And with that, I will say shalom.